So right now the Hajj pilgrimage is happening in Mecca. And so every Muslim has to go to Mecca at some point and do the Hajj. That is the pilgrimage there. And there is a ritual, 5 different things that you have to do. You have to go around the Kaaba, and then you have to throw stones at 3 pillars, and they represent the devil, and you're supposed to be fighting the devil and throwing stones at him. So now the issue is a lot of people go there at the same time. 3 years back, 2012, there was 3 million people that had gone to the Hajj at the same time. So now in this case, as they're throwing stones at the pillars, the panic sets in. Some are moving a little too fast or a little too slow. It's unclear because of the mayhem, and a stampede happens. Now this happened before. In this case, it is the worst in 25 years. 717 people killed, 863 injured. Now this year, there was 2 million attendees of the Hajj. So when there's 2 million people in one city, all doing the same thing, that is a very, very hard crowd to control. So they brought in thousands upon thousands of people, 10,000 overall, partly because they were worried about terrorism and security, but also because of situations like this. It's not like it hasn't happened before. It's happened many times before. In fact, in 2006, at least 346 people died in a stampede. And in the 1990s, 1,426 pilgrims died in a tunnel near the city. Now, the Saudi government has been trying to fix the infrastructure there to better deal with the swarm of people that they get. They've been limiting the number of people coming. That's why it's reduced this year to 2 million people that attended. And they've been rebuilding the bridge around the pillars to make it more safe. They've got more personnel, but nonetheless, it didn't work. And look, I'm going to say something that is not nice, okay? So these people died today, and it's tragic, but I don't get it. You know, religious folks always tell me, like, God works in mysterious ways, and even if he deals you a bad break, well, it's to teach you a life lesson, and then you'll learn from it, etc. Yeah, maybe you'll learn from this lesson, but those 717 people died that day. There's nothing to learn. There's no further mysteries. It wasn't a test by God. They died. They died in a horrible way. I mean, a stampede. People die from suffocation as other people step on them and they can't breathe. And sometimes their bones are broken, etc., as others rush over them in a tidal wave of humanity. So I don't get it. If they went to go celebrate God, where's God? So I don't want to do this because these are obviously religious people who went for good reasons, and they wanted to celebrate their belief and their faith. It's not the time to, I would feel terrible if their families are watching this. I understand all that, right? People are going to get mad at me because it's a tragedy and these people died and it's not time to talk about it or criticize, etc. But when is the time? You know, when do we talk about when God, so-called God, does these things? So what did he not care about those people who were going to do in their religion the most holy thing in reverence to, in their case, Allah? Allah just means God in Arabic. And so where was he? What happened? I mean, look, this happens throughout history a million times into all the different religions. Literally, Jesus Christ said on the cross, if you believe any of it, God, why have you forsaken me? And those 700 some odd people must have thought, Allah, why have you forsaken us? I've got really bad news. It's because he's not there. So, look, a lot of people have different kinds of faith. I don't want to argue with people's faith. I view that as different than religion. And if you want to believe that there is a higher source or there's order in the universe, I find that to be a perfectly acceptable position. I might not necessarily agree with it, but it's not crazy. I get it. Are we the end-all, be-all of consciousness in the universe? I would be surprised. So do we know all the answers to the universe? Of course not, right? But if the God that you think are in those texts exists, why didn't he come to your rescue? That God with the beard in the sky, he's not there, man. So I don't mind you having faith, and I know it's not my place to tell everybody in the world what to do, but I'm giving you my honest opinion. And I want you to take this situation and reflect on it. So why did it go down that way? And most of the time, almost every time, religious people will find an excuse. Well, God was taking a lunch break, or he was doing this, or he was going to teach a lesson. Instead, no, they suffocated to death. They died in the most tragic way. God did not come to their rescue. There was no other greater plan that's going to lead to people being even more happy later. No, they just died because no one came for them, because he's not there. Okay, doesn't mean that there is no higher consciousness, doesn't mean there is an order in the universe, but it does mean that the texts that tell you that he's sitting up in the sky and watching every move you do and is ultimately going to reward you with some great things that you'll never see, maybe you should question that. Maybe this is actually a great moment to question that. So if you don't like the messenger, I hear you on that, but I'm asking you to be logical, and I'm asking you to think about the message. Young Turks.